And we are recording and we are now live.
Perfect. All right, well, let's get started at 6 o'clock. I'll call the meeting to order. I believe we have a quorum this evening, even without John and Dave, so we'll go with what we've got tonight. Regular agenda, any last minute changes, Brenton, that I'm not aware of?
No.
Okay. Anybody else got anything? Otherwise, I think we're good with what we've got.
Motion to approve the agenda.
Second.
Okay. Brian makes a motion. Chelsea does a second. So all in favor, say aye.
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 All right. The agenda is approved. Consent agenda. Anything on there, Jim, that we need to be worried or concerned about that we didn't know about already?
Nope, just a progressive estimate with some street lighting and some other electrical work on it, just to finish out the 2020 construction year for that project. And there's some remaining stuff on 2021, but we wanted to get them paid up for 2020.
Yep. Okay. Anybody else have any questions?
So will this project be closed out then, or
We haven't done a
this
final,
is
we
the
haven't
final
done
payment
a,
for the project, right?
this isn't final payment, no.
Okay.
We haven't done the closeout yet. It'll be a closeout in the spring.
Oh, okay. All right.
This was just so the contractors can rectify their 2020 quantities.
Got it. Okay.
Motion to approve the consent agenda.
Okay. Chelsea makes a motion. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Okay. Brian does a second. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right. Motion carries. Council minutes from December 7th. Is it the 7th or the 21st, Brenton? I'm trying to see here real quick. I thought it was the 21st.
21st, the document says 21st.
I believe it's 21st, so.
Yep. Okay.
Yep.
All right. That's what I saw earlier, so I want to make sure. Okay. Anybody have anything that they saw different on there than what's posted?
I didn't see anything that was incorrect. Motion to approve.
Okay. Brian
Second.
makes a motion. Chelsea does a second. So all in favor, say aye.
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 All right. Motion carries. Sheriff's update. Brent, did we get anything on that or?
Yep. I sent it to Brian so he could post it there.
Yeah.
I have Deputy Beam and Deputy Keller here so they could give the update. I figure they just stop by City Hall here and sit across the desk and do the update. Man.
I'm Deputy Keller for those of you I haven't met. So I'm going to be replacing Deputy Beam here. Starting now, basically. He's just came with me tonight. He was great enough to come with and guide me through the process, so to speak. Can everybody hear me okay?
It's okay. Yep. You can speak a little louder. That's all right.
Got to move the computer around.
Yeah, I can try to move it.
We'll try and get a little closer here. Alrighty, so there was 124 calls for service last month. Of those, 2 crashes, both of them involving vehicle versus deer on County 17 in that 68th Avenue area. There's 3 calls for reckless driving. I looked through those. One was for loud trucks driving recklessly in the area of 76th Avenue and Memory Lane. Those vehicles were gone when deputies arrived in the area. One was for speeding vehicles near the construction on County Road 14 and 72nd Street. And one was for reckless driving in the area of Memory Lane. That vehicle was located, but believed not to be involved. There was 6 animal calls. Of those, 2 of them, one was for an injured deer, one for an injured coyote. The other were dog calls, such as barking or loose dogs. We did have the 3 burglaries or attempted burglaries last month. Of those, nobody gained access. We are working those cases actively right now. Have some people of interest we're pursuing and that kind of thing. And then there was, of course, the one trailer theft or attempted theft that Deputy Beam caught in the process and was able to stop. So awesome job there for him. I'm gonna give him kudos. And And then of course we had the famous dog in the river. That was actually my video I took. So over in the Cheyenne. That's really all that I noted. Did anybody have any specific questions on any of those calls?
The burglaries that you guys were dealing with, were those construction related, or was it other?
They were two of them were residential. The people were actually home and called us, so they didn't ever gain entry. Again, we have people of interest in mind that we're looking into and kind of pursuing things that way right now.
So the parking related, were they related to like parking in the street during the snow events for plowing, that kind of thing?
Yes, that would have been me that was taking care of those. I issued one citation and a few warnings. There was one vehicle that was parked in a no parking zone the night that we had that significant snow. I ended up towing it for not no insurance, but fictitious registration, and I did figure out who the owner
Okay.
was on that.
So essentially now you guys are going to be a little more diligent with pushing people to get their cars off the streets and coming up to snow events and so forth. And because we want to make sure the streets are clear for the plow guys, for the public works guys.
Yeah, and unlike Deputy Beam, I'm very interested in traffic and doing that kind of stuff as well. So that's one of my, so to speak, areas of specialty. So I will definitely address the concerns.
Okay.
Okay, any other questions, guys?
Now, one other question, have there been any issues with, in the past, I know it's been an issue with snowmobiles going north along County 17, riding in the ditch and so forth. I'm assuming, now that the speed limit has changed, that would be something that, I don't know if there have been any issues with snowmobiles and so forth, riding in the ditch and speeding along County 17 or in those areas.
Yeah, and I was actually going to bring that up. I'm actually on our snowmobile team as well. And the last 2 nights I've stopped and talked to probably about a dozen snowmobilers, younger individuals. I've educated them about those speed limits in the ditches, that they are the same as the roadways. And then I've also provided them with our guideline and laws book for snowmobiles. So
Okay.
yep,
Good.
I've been addressing, and I also plan on bringing our snowmobiles down here at some point and doing some enforcement that way as well.
Cool. All right, good.
I did see somebody driving on the shared use path. with their
Yeah, that
snowmobile.
was the other thing. That's a good
What was
point,
that?
Chelsea.
I saw somebody on the shared use path with
Okay,
their snowmobile.
okay.
I want to mention that too when you talk to them.
Okay, yep.
Yep. Just more things for them to keep in mind that they shouldn't be on there. So,
Yeah,
the other thing I wanted to thank you guys for helping deliver the Christmas baskets on the 22nd. I really appreciate the Sheriff's Department and Jesse coming down and helping us deliver. So I appreciate that, gentlemen, and thanks again for helping out with that.
No problem.
Yep, one last question. Will we get the annual 2020 report now this next meeting, or when will we get that?
I spoke with Ross. He was actually planning on delivering that in February.
Oh, February, okay. Okay, thank you.
Sounds good.
And I have dropped off some of my cards here at City Hall. Again, I'm available by phone, email, text. I turn my phone on do not if I'm sleeping, so don't ever worry about bothering me. You can reach out to me anytime.
Sounds good. All right. Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
You, sir.
Thanks.
All right. We'll move on to number 7 then. Lucas, you got this one for the fiber optics, or Brenton? Who's got this one?
I think you jumped ahead. I think we're on.
You certificate name change.
Yes, sir.
Oh, so I got a different. All right. I pulled up the wrong one. Then I got to. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, Councilmember Schmidt, if you don't mind, I did provide a visual. It's item number 7, PowerPoint in the SharePoint folder. It's going to be on slide 2.
Can you not
Yeah,
see
so-
it?
I'm sorry.
Can you see it?
In SharePoint, sir?
No, I should be sharing it.
Nope. Okay. Unfortunately, I'm not.
I don't see it.
Oh, did I not share the right screen? Have you guys not been able to see my screen?
No. I guess
Oh,
I didn't even
that's-
realize.
I just see everybody else.
Okay, wait a minute. I thought I had shared my screen, but apparently not.
Okay.
Hang
And
on
I
one
can
moment.
start on it while you're looking around for that. This one is pretty easy, pretty simple. It's just a simple request to approve a resolution to authorize a certificate of name change to change a street name. So this should look familiar. Back in spring, on the far right there in red, 81st Avenue, we corrected that to 83rd Avenue. What we're trying to accomplish here is we've recently received renewed interest in Lakeview Edition. We just felt that the time was right. This item kind of came to the top of our priority list to tackle. What we're trying to do is maintain continuity horizontally with the street naming system. As you can see, what had currently happened in the past is we kind of had these segments that were kind of staggered and didn't really line up. Staff did some measurements to evaluate the placement of the streets and the street numbering system, and they were off. So what we're trying to rectify today is the one in the middle. This would be south of the high school. It's currently named 81st Avenue. Under North Dakota Century Code, it authorizes cities to change the names of streets. And we're also trying to follow our zoning ordinance, section 17.85, subsection 2, that requires street names to continue and maintain the same in general direction. So the proposed naming of this street would be 82nd Avenue. And staff would recommend approval of a resolution to authorize this certificate of name change. And if you have any questions, please let me know.
Okay, anybody's got any questions on that?
So does that mean, Barrett, that this would eventually change to something else?
It currently is. It's 83rd Avenue. This is an old map.
So this is 83rd Avenue already, and this is just formally changing this to 82nd Avenue.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. And this is the actual ordinance change.
Yeah. Yep.
Makes sense to me, I guess.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I don't see any issues with it, so.
Yeah. Agreed.
Okay.
Motion to approve the name change.
Okay, Chelsea makes a motion. Can I get a second?
I'll second.
Okay, so all in favor, say aye.
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 All right, motion carries, so we'll change the name. All right, now we'll get back on track here. All right, Lucas, you got the next one here then with the fiber optic?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. Good evening, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. So this one is just a second reading of that franchise ordinance that the city had with Dickey Rural, so they can provide fiber optic service in the city of Horace. 2 meetings ago, that's when they presented to the city council. And then at the last meeting that the city council had, we did first reading of this ordinance. And so tonight is just the second reading of that ordinance. And then we'll get that in place and have Dickey Rural sign off on that. And then they can provide their services in the city of Horace.
Okay, sounds good.
Any
Nothing's
changes?
changed. Go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, any changes, Lucas?
No changes.
Motion to approve the second reading of the ordinance change.
Okay, Brian makes a
Second.
motion and Chelsea does a second. So all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, that motion carries. Brenton, you've got number 9.
Okay. For this item, I want to run through briefly an update for the special election that we are having here on March 9th. As you may recall, this is a recall election for Councilmember Schmidt and Councilmember Fenelon's positions. The deadline was today for those positions, or to file to be on the ballot. We had a total of 3 names submitted on top of the 2, for Councilmember Fenelon and Schmidt. So a total of 5 candidates will be on the ballot. You'll have Councilmember Schmidt, Councilmember Fenelon, Zachariah or Zach Lee, Jeffrey or Jeff Trudeau, and then Naomi Birkland. Those were the names submitted. Those will be submitted to the county, and the county will administer the actual election. When they do the election, they'll have ballots. Applications for the ballots will be sent out to those that have voted in the past in Horace or is seen as qualified voters within Horace. If anybody wants to request those to make sure they get that ballot, they could put that request into the county. Give them a couple weeks here to get the ballots developed, but they'll be able to request those ballots also. But like I said, we'll have the county send out ballot applications to everybody. There will be voting in person also on March 9th. So if somebody doesn't want to do absentee, they could vote in person. That'll be from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. at the Horace Fire Hall. We're able to get that room and felt that would be a very good location for it. So the election will be held there. How we get to a recall election, just want to make sure folks understand how that process works. A group of individuals, residents, voters, they can put together a sponsoring committee to file a petition. They would have to submit a petition application with a reason for their request for recall to the Secretary of State's office. Secretary of State's office reviews that petition application form and the reason, and then they'll say yes or no if it's complete. And once they indicate that a petition can be circulated, then those individuals have a period of time where they could circulate a petition. It needs 25% of the signatures from the last election to be considered valid. After, if they do have those 25%, so in this case they did, then they submit that to myself, the city auditor, administrator position, and we have 30 days to review it to verify signatures, validate if it's a valid petition. And then what we do is once we determine it's a valid petition, we work with the county to determine the key dates for the election. So the filing deadline and the election date. And then also we work with the Fargo Forum. We get a publication for noticing of when this election would occur. So we did that on December 2nd. Deadline was today. And like I said, we've worked with the county to establish March 9th as the election date. And after today, the county will have the names of those that submitted petitions to be considered on the ballot, and it will be in the county's hands to conduct that election. So, because we contract with the county. The county commission will review a contract, I believe, at their January 19th meeting for the costs tied to this election. The city will be responsible for that, or those costs. The county has indicated that they wouldn't charge us for their staff time, but printing costs, postage, equipment use, things like that. They will charge us for that. And they'll, like I said, they'll have a contract to the county commission on 19th, and I'll likely bring that to the city council on the 19th or the first meeting in February. So like I said, I wanted to run through that really quickly so you knew how we got where we're at, what that process is. Also, in regards to Councilmember Corson, or former Councilmember Corson's position, he resigned from his position. We have received a petition request or calling for a special election for that. So we will have to have 2 separate special elections. Lucas will get into the details of the next agenda item. The main reason behind having that second special election is because you have to have the proper notification, proper notices in the paper, and then folks would have to be given 30 days to be able to decide if they want to file for that position. It also has different remaining time left on the term of that seat. So those are the reasons why it will be 2 separate elections. Like I said, Lucas could get into that next agenda item. But if you have any questions about special election, I could answer them now.
Hey, Brent, when you talked about the recall petition, there was a reason that was given for the recall. Can you tell us what that reasoning was?
Let's see, I'm checking here. I gotta find it.
No, that's fine.
Yeah. Be recalled for the reason of not representing the popular interests and opinions of Horace residents is what was stated. And in talking with Secretary of State's office, a reason just has to be given. They don't really determine anything about a reason. They just say, was a reason given? So,
Okay.
yep.
Okay, anybody else got any questions on special election update that he gave us? Okay. All right, Brenton, thanks for the update on that. I'm sure there'll be more to come as we get a little further here. So let's move on to 10. Lucas, why don't you go ahead and pick that one up then?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I can take this one. As you recall, at the last city council meeting, the city council discussed the appointment of Sarah Veit to the vacant city council position. Under North Dakota law, the city council has to wait at least 15 days before filling that vacant position. It has been over 15 days as Councilmember Korsman resigned effective immediately on December 18th. He submitted his resignation to you as the Chief Executive Officer of the city, Mr. Mayor, and you accepted that resignation on that day. So with that being said, 15 days have now expired. So the city council is authorized to make an appointment to fill that position if it so desires tonight. That being said, even though the city council may or may not fill that position tonight, that position will still be up for election at a special election, which, as Brent indicated, is petitioned for by residents of the city, and under North Dakota Century Code, upon petition of 5% of qualified electors of the city or of the ward for the position, in this case citywide. So 5% of the electors of the city, there can be a special election to fill that position for the remaining unexpired term of the city. So in this instance, the appointment would be made tonight, and that position would then be up for election once, as Brent indicated, once the timing requirements are met with notice being put in the paper, and then there's still X amount of days before nominating petitions can be submitted to the city, and then another election is then required. So in this instance, the city could not combine those special elections on the March 9th one because there just wasn't enough time for it. Brent had discussions with the Secretary of State's office on what they thought with this, what the city should do, and they weren't quite sure because this obviously is not something that arises very often, especially in North Dakota with the small size of the cities across the state, and people actually wanting to be on city council. So they didn't quite know. They deferred to the city attorney. My recommendation was that the city would have to have two special elections to meet the notice requirements provided under the Century Code. And then I actually touched base with the North Dakota Attorney General's office to get their input on it. And they agreed that the city would have to hold two special elections. And so for tonight's action item, if the council so desires, they can fill that vacant spot if they would like to do it by appointing Sarah Veit. That is acceptable now that 15 days have expired. And then Brent will have to ensure that that recall petition or special election petition in this instance has the required amount of electors on it. And then the city will have to, again, work with the county to schedule another special election for Councilmember Korsman's vacant position.
So does this need more signatures on it? Like when John and I ran, we had to get more signatures than you guys did?
The signatures for
To be on the ballot?
it'll be the same.
Same as,
The same amount that you guys had to have when you were on the ballot.
okay.
Yeah, it'll follow as though it's a regular election.
Yeah, so that's quite a bit more signatures, I think, but, so if we don't get anybody petitioning to be on the ballot for this election, just because it is only a year term, I mean, I guess people probably will, but what would that mean?
Well, Sarah would have to go through the same process. If she was appointed tonight, would still have to go through the same process to get her name on the ballot, as well as anyone else in the city.
Yeah,
So she's just filling the seat in the interim until that special election can be scheduled.
Correct. Which, I mean, that's still going to be months out, just like this one was.
So it's essentially having somebody in place. So she'd basically be councilman, an interim council person
Correct.
until the election happens.
Right. Okay. Any other questions, guys? So and I'll leave it up to you as to what you want to do.
Well, I think it's important that we have the position filled. I mean, with all the activity and so forth that we have, I mean, it is important. I mean, John was missed, you know, when he was away and wasn't able to attend the meetings. And now that now that he's resigned, it is a whole, right, to make sure that we have quorum, we have the representation from the residents, you know, to be able to move forward on a lot of the different initiatives. So I think it is important that we have a person in that position, you know, during this period of time. So rather than, I mean, our choices are either A, to fill the position or to leave it vacant until the special election, right? And I would tend to agree with you, Corey, that you know, it's more important for us to have a person in that position and rather than leave it vacant.
yep, I agree. Yep. And then if, you know, I suppose those signatures are going to be due here in another month or two for that election.
What we would have is once we verify the signatures on the petition, then we put the notice in the paper. Most likely the signatures, if we were to get notice in the paper next week, signatures then would be able to be collected basically middle of January through middle of February. And then you're looking at election being April, May timeframe. Late April into early May is most likely when an election would occur. But signatures would be collected. If somebody wanted to run for those seats, they would need to collect signatures roughly mid-January through early mid-February.
So
I don't have the exact dates worked out because I still have to verify the petition.
So the point is that if we don't fill the position, that it would sit empty till at least May. Yeah, that's just too long. There's too many things going on between now and then that we need that extra set of hands to help.
Yep, I agree. One other question. Were they able to do electronic signatures because of COVID, or are they out talking to everybody?
All the signatures that we've seen for any of the petitions have been done physically, not electronically.
And I'm is that like, I think you guys needed maybe like 25 or?
For the last city council, for the recall election, I believe they needed 45.
Oh, okay.
Most of them fell right around that 65 range
Okay.
on how many signatures are submitted, right in that ballpark, which is good to have extras, because if you do have some signatures that are not valid, you still have most likely have a valid petition still. So that's pretty common practice to have more signatures than needed to make sure that would be a valid petition.
Gotcha.
But for
Sounds good.
for the special election for the vacant city council seat, was only 5% of the qualified electors. So it's less than, I believe, the recall petition.
Yeah, so it was 5% to push for the special election to be held, but they would still have to have the needed signatures for somebody running for that council member seat. They would have to get, I believe it was 10%.
So like this other one, I think it's gonna be like 80 signatures or something.
I'd have to verify it. It would
Yeah.
be probably around
That's
45 to 50 in that ballpark is my understanding.
Oh, because I thought they were different with the different elections.
And that's what we have to verify how many
Yeah,
signatures.
okay.
So, and that's something we work out with the county, verifying
Yeah.
the signatures, we verify the dates, and we work that out with the county all at one time, so everybody's on the same page.
Yeah, sounds good.
So at this point, Corey, you're gonna continue with Sarah as the nominee to fill that position.
Yes.
So we've fulfilled the requirements by century code, so it's basically up to us to decide if we want to seat her as that interim council person.
Correct.
Yep, it's up to the city council to appoint someone to fill the position.
So I'll make a motion to approve Sarah Veit as the interim council member for up until the special election for that vacated council person position.
Second,
Okay. So Brian does a motion to accept Sarah, and Chelsea does a second. So all in favor, say aye.
aye.
Okay. All right, Brent, we'll have to let her know then. We'll get her up a little further up to speed on some things, and we'll go from there.
So she will be seated essentially tomorrow, and then we'll attend the meeting the next.
She'll be at the next council meeting, most likely.
Yeah.
But you don't swear her in until the
Next council meeting. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So, okay, that sounds good. All right, thanks, everybody. Let's move along to number 11. And Jim, you got that one.
I do. Good evening, Mr. Mayor and council members. Just three things on the agenda for tonight, or three topics I want to discuss. The water water main replacement project cost share request was submitted to the State Water Commission last Monday for their February 11th meeting. That is a 60-40 potential cost sharing. The connection to Cass Rural, that cost share was submitted last Monday for their February 11th meeting. That is a 75-15% cost share, both on the agenda in February. I have had some conversations with the State Water Commission today just to clarify some things and to discuss the projects with them. And the third thing I had on the list was, as of December 23rd, there is no more construction taking place for this season. The Maple Lake Estates, the last one, once we had that bigger snowstorm last week before Christmas, the week of Christmas, they pulled the plug on that one for the year too. So everything is sitting idle until the spring. So
did they get the stormwater drain installation completed for what they needed for the school lot?
that's a different project, but yes, they did. So that's 82nd Avenue. And 82nd Avenue, they did get the water, the sewer, and the storm in, and quite a few of the services. So they got what they wanted done. And then Maple Lake Estates, they got the mains in, and they got the started on the services until it just got to be so bitterly cold there for a couple of days. It just was counterproductive. So they got the site buttoned up, and we'll start again when the weather allows.
Okay.
Quick report for tonight.
All right. Okay, so we got those what do you call them, projects submitted and things like that. When is it that those guys will be meeting again to talk about any of that stuff, Jim? Is that later in the spring or what?
February 11th. There's a subcommittee meeting here in the middle, and then there's the meeting of the State Water Commission is the February 11th. So that's when we'll know if they act on it, or they table it, or they deny it. So
Is that something that one of us should show up to have some more explanation as to what's going on with that, or?
They're doing them virtually.
Okay,
And there, yes, we will. We were told today that we'll get information to log in and join those conversations.
okay, cool.
So please send us the invite for that meeting.
Yes, absolutely.
If we get a chance to support that, and answer questions from the State Water Commission, that'd be a good thing.
Yep, absolutely.
Definitely want to be there.
Yep. Jim, I'm just going to ask you, I don't know if, have you heard anything more about the bonding bill that the state has been talking about? Is that, I mean, are the engineering firms talking about any of that, or?
I haven't heard any specifics about it. I've just heard just been some rumblings in and amongst like our office and some other things. I don't know anything for specific that I'd tell you in a public setting.
Fine.
With Christmas and New Year's in there, the last 2 weeks have kind of been a garbled.
Right,
Well,
and that's what I figured too, so.
Well, they're just convening here this week, right?
Right,
Yeah.
So I'm expecting that those committees are starting to form this week as well.
that's what I'm hoping, and that there'll be some more information that comes out on that, because that would be nice if they would put something like that together, and that we could get in on some of that to help with these costs with our infrastructure updates that are coming, so.
Because we're definitely going to want to, that was actually one of the things I was going to bring up, if we've heard anything, about the new version of the Prairie Dog Bill, or if any new bills have been. So I guess it's going to be a matter of, listening to the League of Cities, right?
Yep.
Feedback on those legislative priorities that we need to participate in.
Yep. So. Okay, thanks, Jim. Anything, unless you got something else you want to add in there?
Nope. Like I said, it was a busy 2 weeks with holidays, so we didn't have much more to add.
Gotcha. All right. Thank you, sir. Okay, Brenton, you got city administrator update. What's up?
Yeah, the only thing I had is a reminder, which you guys talked about, legislative session, that starts tomorrow. And then also it looks like that the state is going to be allowing remote testimonies and participation, being able to view some of those sessions online. So that will be a change to how the session will be held. I don't have a lot of details on that yet. We're just starting to find out more about it. I just started seeing a little bit about it today. So.
When are they going to be publishing their list of legislative bills and so forth that we should be participating in?
I don't have an exact date for you on that one. I would anticipate that it would be coming up pretty soon. This is around the time when they have to start introducing the bills, and they go over that, and then I'm guessing that would be in the near, next week or two. I would assume that you'd be starting to see some of this, but I haven't seen anything yet.
I mean, that was one of the things I was wondering about, if our legislative representatives were on any of those committees that we need to help support them.
Yeah, I do know some of our legislators where they're on. Representative Mike Hall is on appropriations, and I believe Brandy Pyle is on political subdivisions and also education, I believe, or some of the committees. I don't know exactly what ones Mark Weber's on off the top of my head. I've seen a list, but I don't have the list in front of me.
Okay. Anything else?
No.
Okay. All right, on the portfolio reports, I guess I don't have anything this go around. It's been pretty quiet Christmas break there, so I'm sure things will be kicking up here fairly soon when we start getting into the legislative sessions. We'll be paying a lot of attention to multiple items there as we go along here. So give updates as we get them too. So and that's all I've got. I know Dave isn't here. Chelsea, what do you got? Anything?
No. Happy New Year.
Yep. Brian?
The only thing I had was just a heads up that I sent a statement of work or a quote for Ready Tech to provide some IT services, managed services for City Hall staff to manage the desktops and so forth and provide virus, IT service and virus protection, so forth, and patching. So it's a relatively, we did a couple evaluations and got different bids, and Ready Tech came in clearly cheaper than the other vendors. So we're gonna, I've sent that quote to Brenton and Becky for review. And if that gets approved, then we'll go ahead and process that.
Sounds good. Well, I don't have anything else, folks, so I'm gonna ask for someone to make a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Let's see, Brian, the second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, we're adjourned. Thank you,
Wow.
everyone.
That
Have a
is
good
a new
night.
record.
It is a record. I like it.
Yeah, no doubt.